You got it wrong. This video is not sponsored by Coca-Cola or whoever makes Sprite. Even though I wish it was. I was looking for a cool intro. But hey, it's lesson 3. If you're stuck here from lesson 1, thank you. I literally love you. But I need to put this aside. But we're on lesson 3 of this whole Sew with KIZAJ thing, and it's really exciting for me because I really love doing this. And I'm sure if you've kept through, you love watching. I'm excited, as you guys can tell. But let's get to learning fashion. So today's video is going to be how to measure yourself and how to measure other people. So I'm making this video for 2 reasons. First off, it's on my lesson plan for you guys. Second off, I get some clients who are like out of state or they can't come to me to take their measurements. So I'm making this video for them too, so that way I can send it to them and they can see the exact things I need them to measure when I ask for measurement. So I'm going to have a model come introduce herself to you soon. She's my sister, by the way. So the only thing you need for this video or to take measurements for yourself or someone else is a measuring tape, a pen, and a paper, which can be substituted for your phone if you want to write it in your notes. I'm going to list down the measurements we need. I'm going to grab my model and show you those parts of the body you need to measure. This is my client. Her name is Joanne. Welcome to my channel. Say hi to them. So I have her wearing this thing just so that you guys can see like exactly what I'm going to be measuring in her body. So I broke this down into 4 sections. The first one is going to be a top, how to measure for tops, like what to focus on. Next one is going to be the skirt. Third one is the dress, and then the fourth one is for pants. When we're measuring for the top, we're actually focusing on this part of the body. So from the shoulder right here to the hip right here. So if I'm measuring for the top, the first thing I'm going to do, anything I'm measuring from, asking my client, how do you like your clothes? Do you like them fitted or do you like them free? How do you like your clothes? Fitted. Fitted, good. So we know that she likes it to hug her body like that. Most people are like that. Very few people don't want their clothes fitted like me. Like big stuff. So the first thing I'm going to be measuring is her bust. So now the first thing I'm going to be measuring is her bust. Like I mentioned in lesson 1, we're going to be working with the inch part of this ruler. So that's one of the big numbers. So to measure her bust, you can ask them, don't be shy. This is your line of work. Are you wearing the kind of bra you usually like to wear? Yeah. So ask them if you're wearing kind of bra, because you don't want to measure somebody with a bra and then the person doesn't want to wear a bra with a dress, or it just helps to know that that's the kind of bra you normally wear or would wear with a dress. So when measuring the bust, you want to make sure you're focusing on the biggest part or the pointiest part of the bust. You're not measuring here. No, you're not measuring here. You're measuring on the fitted part of the bust. Now when measuring, I'm going to make sure I have one finger in there so that she can breathe. I don't want to measure like this, because that way it's going to be too tight. She's not going to have breathing space. So I want to give myself like a little room to work with. Since she likes it fitted, I'll give like one finger in there for allowance. If she liked it like free, I'll give like 3 or 2 fingers in there for allowance. You can see the difference that made. So one finger in there for her allowance. Her bust measurement is going to be 32. So I'm going to write down 32. So the next I'm going to measure is her under bust. That's going to be right where her bra stops, because that place, I'm measuring it separate from the waist, because in most cases it's bigger than the waist. So I'm going to measure her under bust, which is right here where her bra stops, and I got, with one finger inside, I got 26. So measure it around. Take your hair out, please. And then one finger inside, 26 is where it stops. Now the waist is this area like this, but you're going to want to find the curviest part of the waist. Now you know this is my sister, so I can touch her anyhow I want, but you're not going to harass your client and be like, where is your waist? No, what you're just doing is, if you want to, you can just slightly feel for the deepest part of the waist, which in her case is right here. Or you can ask your client, what part of your waist is the curviest, or like the most, the deepest part of your waist. What part of your waist is the deepest? So right where I pointed. So you can feel it if you want. If you're not too comfortable, just ask them and they'll point it out to you. So now I'm going to measure in that part, and you're going to see that it's smaller than what the under bust was. So our under bust was 26, and now you can see the waist with one finger in there is 24. Ask them, have you eaten?
Yes.
When you eat, is this how your stomach is?
Yes.
Okay. So they are going to work with 24. Some people bloat when they eat, like they get like 3 months, like me. I get like 3 months pregnant when I eat. So you want to make sure there is room for that. You don't need to wear the dress and not be able to eat. Makes sense? So now 24, we're going to write that down. So the next thing I'm going to measure is going to be the bust point. Now the bust point is from the shoulder to where the nipple starts, or the most perky part of the bust. So that's going to be from the shoulder to right there. In her case, it's 9 inches. Now the next measurement after that is going to be the yoke length, or some people call it shoulder to under bust. As that implies, that's going to be from the shoulder to where her bra stops, which is basically where her bust stops. That's going to be 12. So bust point 9 right here, and then under bust 12. So now the next thing we're going to measure is her half length. So for some people, they say the half length is, that's the way I was taught, that the half length is where the belly button is. But personally, I don't think it's in vogue anymore to wear a dress and then maybe like the flare starts from here. It just looks weird. It's better when it starts from that curvy waist part, because then it like draws attention to that part. Like, hey, look, my waist is curvy, and boom, there's a dress. Makes sense. But if you want to do it there, please feel free. That's how I was taught. But what I find better is doing it at that true waistline. So the half length is going to be from the shoulder to the waistline, which in her case is 15 inches. Normally it's between 15 and 17 inches for like a regular body shape. The next thing we're going to do is the top length, or the blouse length. So you can go ahead and ask, where do you want your stop to stop? Or you as a designer can decide, okay, this style needs to stop in this particular place, and then you measure it in that place. So now the top length is going to be from here, shoulder to, let's say I want a crop top, it's going to be at 17, like literally showing her belly button right here at 17. If I wanted like more big top like what I have on, that's going to be like 25, like right here. So just use your discretion for the length, but make sure your client's not looking down when you're measuring the length, because look down, notice how that drops. Okay, look up. So I'm going to measure the length of this thing she has on. It's 23. Now look down, notice that we went to 22. If they look down, the measurement decreases. So that's all you need to measure for a top. Oh, we're missing one thing, the shoulder. Can you turn? So to measure the person's shoulder, what you're doing is, if you feel, move your arm, move it. There's a bone right here. That's what we're looking for. So we're measuring from this bone to this other bone right here. That's how you measure the shoulder. So from here across the back like so to here. So her shoulder is 14. So from that bone to that bone is 14. Now depending on the design, you can turn. Depending on the design, you can choose to change that or like make it smaller or bigger. But shoulder is usually from the shoulder bone to the other shoulder bone. That's it for measuring for a top. You see, I got every single part of the body. Now let's do like extra things you need for a top. For example, the arm. So what I like to do for the arm is I like to start, can you turn a little bit so you can see? I like to start from the middle of the neck right here, like where that spinal cord bone is. I like to start from there and measure from that middle of the neck to where the arm is going to stop. So say it was a short sleeve, I'm going to measure from there all the way to here. Then when I'm sewing, I'm going to subtract whatever half of the shoulder is from here, just so that it's actually perfect. But if you want, sometimes I do this too, you can start measuring the sleeve length from that shoulder bone. Same thing, just more calculation when you do it from the middle of the back. So now for the sleeve length, place it here, wherever you want your sleeve length to stop. Normally it's here, here, or here. And then you just measure where you want it to be. So now for the round arm, to measure her round arm, what I'm going to do is put the tape round her arm. Let it feel a little bit comfy, let it feel a little bit loose. Then I'm going to ask her to flex her muscle. So flex. So is it tight?
Yes.
So you see, even if it looks loose, it was still tight when she did this. So I'm going to expand it a little bit more. Do it again. Now this feels better. So that's what I'm going to go with, because you want them to be able to move. Some people want, you see, the thing with dresses that are being made for like models on Instagram, they don't move. They just wear the dresses to take picture. But you want your dress to be functional. So make sure you're taking note of all these little things. We're taking a measurement. That's her round arm. So if you want to measure her this part of her arm, you can measure it too. Same thing. Do that. Yeah. And then for the wrist, you don't have to do that. You just measure the wrist. So that's how you measure for the arm. So now we're going to go to the skirt part. So when measuring for the skirt, the first thing you want to do is ask your client, where do you put your skirt? Like when you wear trousers or skirt, where do you put it? So if you notice, she's pointing to her true waist, which is that measurement I took before. So you can decide to measure it again or not. But different people have different preferences. People wear their skirt here. So if that's where the person wears their skirt, that's where we're going to measure their waist. But in her case, she wears it here. So I'm going to make it 24 or 25 depending on if I'm going to put like extra rubber in the waist or all those things depend. So now that's the waist. So now for the hip, to measure the hip, you look for again the biggest part or the curviest part of the hip, and then you put your tape around it. But you're not going to just stay like this. You're going to move it up and down. See what I'm doing? We're moving it up and down. So this right here is a good measurement for her hip, which is 33. So does that make sense? Measuring the hip, make sure you're moving it up and down, because people have different body shapes. Some people hips are like right here. Some people have sagging hips. You think their hip is where their butt is, but it's actually right here. So you want to make sure you're encompassing the whole area, and that's why I'm measuring the up down motion thing. Now the next thing we're going to measure, you don't have to measure this. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. But if it's a fitted skirt, maybe like a pencil skirt, the person wants it really fitted, you can measure the person's steps. So to measure steps, you just put your tape around the leg. Can you move back like 2 steps? Put the tape around the leg part. I'll put it to like 29. So now walk comfortably. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So this way, you know, the person can walk, can get into a car, can sit down comfortably. In a real world, everybody wants their dress to feel like this, like just be really penciled. Now walk. So you see, she can't walk in it. So we got to make it in a way she can walk in. Now the next thing we need for the skirt is the length. So if you remember what your client said, where they start their waist, where they put their waist, that's where you're going to start measuring the length from. If not, you can go ahead and ask them again. So where do you put your waist when you wear skirts? So right here. So if it's a short skirt, make sure they are not looking down. You can have them look down just to visually see, or you can have a mirror in front of them. Okay, where do you want your short skirt to stop? So the pointy, take note of it, have them look straight up and then measure it. Now, if she looks down, it's going to affect the measurement. So look down so you can see something. Notice how that came down to just like the top. Look front up. That goes up too. It's like small measurements, but it goes a long way. So this like this, measure the length. If it's long, measure the length. If she's going to wear heel, move back a little bit, like 2 steps. Move back again. If she's going to wear heels, have her tiptoe. So tiptoe, and then measure the floor. So that way the dress is on the floor. You can go ahead and stay normal. So that's how you measure for the skirt. So now, guess what? For the dress, it's super easy because all you need is the skirt measurement and the top measurement if you're measuring for a dress. Again, style determines a lot of things, but these are the basic things you would need if it's like a very complicated style. Like I said, again, for the dress, what you need is the top measurements that we did before, plus the skirt measurement. Now, the only new thing with a dress, when you're measuring for the dress, is the dress length, because now it's going to be starting from here all the way. So if it's a short dress, you stop it where the short dress is going to stop. If it's a long dress, you stop it like on the floor where the dress is going to stop. So that's the major difference between, like, you know, when making a dress. It's basically a skirt and a blouse, so it's the same measurement we need. How you measure for pants. For pants, you literally need just like 5 measurements. So can you move back a little bit so we can get the full view? Thank you. So now, for pants, the first thing is the waist, which you measured before. So when you wear trousers, do you want it high-waisted or high-rise? So like on your this waist, right? On the waist, yes. You measured before. So make sure you ask that, because you don't want to make like a low-rise for somebody who wants a high-rise. So we already know her waist is 25. I'll go ahead and measure it again. Leave my one finger in there. 24. So now we need the waist, the hip again. So I'm going to measure the hip again, like so. Move up and move down. Perfect. So now, waist, hip. Next thing I'm going to measure is her thigh. Open your legs slightly. No, don't pose. Yeah. So I'm going to measure her thigh. So measure it like this. So when I measure the thigh, I like to go up and down. And I also like to, instead of making it straight like this, I like to measure it slanted like this. It's going to make more sense when you're sewing this, because I can't really explain to you why I measure it slanted like this. But it's just because if I measure it like this, it's going to end up being too small. I need her to have room here, because that's when we cut it, it's almost never straight. So make sure you measure the thigh like this to get the actual tie. But if it's like something like really fitted, yeah, you can do this. Well, for like regular pants, I'll just go ahead and measure the tie like this. The next thing you need to measure is the base. So I'll go ahead and zoom for this part. But before we talk about the base, let's talk about the length. Same thing for the length, stand straight. Where the waist starts to where the trouser is going to stop, maybe the ankle or the floor. That's how you measure the length. So now the next thing you need to measure in the pants is the base. So now when I measure for the base, you can just go ahead and do this, but I would not advise that, because if you do this, if it's not a stretchy material or a stretchy fabric, she might not be able to wear this after it's made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure she can wear this after it's made. I'm going to have you take up your heel a little bit more. Take up your heel slightly more. So I'm going to measure like this. You can step down, like step on it. No, step on it. Yeah. So I'm going to measure like this. What I had measured the first time was 8, but this time I have 12 inches. So you can see the difference. So now when she should, this way she can wear it. It's not going to be like really tight, but this is what we have to do so she can wear it. That's basically how it works. So if you want to go ahead and still measure this and make it 9 inches as opposed to 12, she would not be able to wear it across. She cannot be able to wear the pants. But the solution to that is having a zipper on the side, or like having a flare or something. But if you want it to be wearable, you have to measure it from the heel around like this. So if you want to see how to measure yourself, if nobody is around or you just don't like people and you want to do it yourself, go ahead and click this video on the card above on this side of the screen. Click the video and it's going to show you a video I made like 2 years ago on how to measure yourself. Same thing, same measurement. You just have a mirror in front of you, and I'm going to show you like how to actually measure those things. Okay, so that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Remember, we have a Telegram group. Go ahead, leave your comments, leave your questions, leave what you want me to sew there. Let's interact, let's get to know each other, and I'll see you guys on the next video, which is going to be how to transfer these measurements we just took and make it work on the material, because right now it's just numbers, right? How we going to like put those numbers on the fabric. Next video is going to explain exactly how to do that. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends so that way they can join this free school. But thanks, subscribe. Do you have anything to say to them?
Thank you.
Yeah, with them to subscribe.
Leave a like and and share and also subscribe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.